Hello guys, I hope that you are doing fantastic. I am coming to you a week after one of the worst weeks of my life. If you follow me on TikTok, you know that I tried to update pretty frequently as to what happened, but I just thought that it would be kind of nice to give you guys the full story of what happened, just from start to finish, and that way I didn't have to worry about a time constraint or anything, so I could just kind of explain to you even more and bring the story to another platform as well. We are going to go through last Monday because it started one of the worst weeks of my life. So if you want to hear about that, I'll get right into it, but just a little trigger warning, I do talk about some sad things, including death of pets, and then I also just want to warn you, this isn't a very fun and upbeat video. It's going to be more serious and just give you the details of that night and the rest of this past week. Last Monday, I knew that I was going to go and have a little bit of a day with my little cousin Kaylee because I just felt like she needed one, and we're basically more of sisters, and I love getting to have those little day dates with Kaylee. So I went out in the morning, I checked my girls, they were all good. Kaylee got here, and then we went ahead and left to do our little day date. We were doing all of our things. I ended up getting an enclosed trailer. I'll talk about that in another video because I plan on doing a whole video renovating it to turn it into my mobile shop. But at about probably 3 to 3:30, my dad calls me and he says, "Hey, I think we finally lost our oldest cow." Now, just a little preface, my dad, love him to death, he does help with the cattle, but he just doesn't know the cows like I do. He doesn't know all their names, he doesn't know who they are, and he's colorblind. So that was where I come into play of, I know all the cows, I know their names, I know who they're out of, I know who they belong to, whether it be me or my dad, and so I'm always that help for him. But he tells me that, you know, he thought we lost our older cow. And I'm immediately upset because I'm assuming he means Ginger. If you don't know, Ginger is my oldest gal. She's pushing 20 now, and that's pretty old for a cow. So I was upset, but I was like, you know what? It does make sense. I was a little confused because she didn't show any signs, but I was like, you know, neither did Betty White really, so my cow Betty White, not the actual Betty White, but rest in peace to both of them. I was like, you know, okay, but it hadn't really hit me yet. So then I get home, Kaylee leaves, I park my trailer, and I go to meet my cows because Dad had said that he was going to bury her because he has heavy equipment, but it's only been, you know, 45 minutes, so I don't know. So I walk over there and I do see one of my red cows, and it's laying at the hay feeder dead. And I was like, oh my goodness, you know, very sad, and that's kind of when the emotion hit me. But then I pan over just a slight bit and I see Ginger looking at me, and I'm like, that's not Ginger. You know, obviously. So then my brain goes to the next oldest red lady I have, which is Red. I know, I was a really original namer when I was 14, okay? And so she was a show heifer. I was very close to her, and immediately I am full of emotion because she's only 12. So I'm like, that's not that old, but I guess it makes a little bit of sense. Like, I don't know. So I go over and tell my dad, because he's in the shop, and I'm like, hey, it wasn't our oldest gal we lost, it was my red show heifer that I had. And Dad just looks at me and goes, the one I just buried isn't red. And so then we both have this oh shit moment, because I was like, well, there's a red one dead at the hay feeder. And he said, what? And so we just have this full-blown panic of us running back over, and we have every emotion because my dad sees that there's a red one dead, and he's like, Lacey, I already buried one. And I said, huh? There's two dead? And he was like, I guess. He's like, I buried another one that had some white on her belly and some white mixed into her face and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Dad, that's not our oldest one. I was like, was it Izzy, my Izzy girl? He's like, no, I don't think it was her. And so I'm panicking because I think that one of my lovely showgirls, like, don't get me wrong, any of my girls that have gone, I am very upset about, because as you know, they are all very special to me. But my showgirls were in the barn with me. I worked with them every single day. So it's a little bit different of a relationship. And so I immediately am like, Dad, we gotta call the vet, because it's like little before 4 o'clock right now. I'm like, Dad, we're gonna have to get an autopsy out. Like, are you okay with paying the emergency fee? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, absolutely. Call the vet, figure it out. So I immediately call our vet, and I am out in the field because I have to figure out who the cow that my dad buried is by a process of elimination. And I have to make sure I know what red one is dead, because like I said, I assumed it's the next oldest because Reba didn't even cross my mind because she's so young. So I'm in the field and I am on hold because my vet is quite busy. So I'm probably on hold for 10 minutes. And while that 10 minutes is spanned between being on hold and talking to people, being put back on hold because they had to try to figure out how to get to me. I am an absolute fucking mess. Like, I was blubbering because I was running around seeing who was dead. I saw Red immediately, like, oh my god, it's not Red. So I give her a big hug, but then I'm like, it can't be Reba. Like, she's only like 6. But, you know, it was, and then that freaks me out because she's young. And so then I'm running around and I'm like, okay, I see Eleanor, I see Salem, and then I see Izzy, and I have another moment where I just grab her and I give her a big old hug because I'm like, oh my god, because Izzy was also a showgirl for me. And so I remember just being on the phone with the vet and I'm like, I'm really sorry, I know it probably seems silly because they're cows, but they're my pets. And the girl that was like, no, I get it, like, we know you have pet cows, it's okay. So they tell me, you know, the vet will call you back once she figures out when she can fit you in the schedule. Once I realized that it was Marbles and Reba, I knew I had the vet coming. I decided to upload my TikTok because I knew that I wanted you guys to see the real and the rawness of that moment. Because not only do I have a community of lovely people who want to know that kind of thing, you know, they want to be in the know of, I just lost 2 of my cows. I also wanted it to be a very educational moment because it was such a crazy thing just to lose 2 cows out of the blue. And mind you, these 2 cows were on opposite sides of the hay feeders and they looked like they were literally just eating and then fell to the ground dead. And let me give you a little insight on cattle. Cattle are not cattle, like a lot of animals, if they think that they're going to pass, if they think they're going to die, they will go away from the herd. Even if they're sick, they will go away from the herd. If you have been a long time follower, think back to my Doobie situation. Doobie was a cow I had. She had a respiratory infection. I knew she was sick immediately because she was separating from the herd. Cattle, unlike humans, are really good at quarantining. Essentially, they really are. And they do the same thing when they're calving. If a cow is getting ready to calve, they will separate themselves from the herd so that they can have that moment with their baby, so that they can just, you know, they like their alone time. And so the fact that they were at the hay ring, which is the most public place for my cattle, I was like, this had to have been just so sudden, and for 2 of them. And so I was shook and I wanted answers. But I also wanted to show you guys that moment. So I filmed it and then I checked the rest of my ladies really good. And then I went in the house to wait for the vet to call me back. So once the vet called me back, I knew that she was going to be coming and I was just waiting on my dad to get home, but I knew there were some things I needed to do because I had already checked around in the pen to see if there was anything that struck my eye as like, this could have been harmful. I was checking the hay to see if there was any moldy bits or anything like that. It was too cold for anything poisonous. It was the same hay we had been feeding, so I was just very confused. But I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and take some actions because I know the vet's gonna be here soon and I know I want her to check the rest of my ladies. So to my right, I have hay that we keep in the barn. My dad just went ahead and bought some square bales other than round bales because they're easy to move, but it's also great because if for any reason we have any of our ladies in the barn, it's nice to have that to feed them because obviously round bales are ginormous and it would take up half their pen. So I went ahead and just spread that in here and got all of my ladies to come into the barn. And then the vet had told me that if there was a lady who was older or more susceptible to illness or maybe wasn't as hardy, that she would love to check her out especially. And immediately my brain went red because if you remember from the video of who's pregnant when we vaccinated and palpated, Red just decided she didn't want to do that shit. And I knew that was not a big deal because I could get her in the barn another time to vaccinate her. So I was like, well, she's not vaccinated, so that's probably the great one to check because I vaccinate my girls for leptospirosis, I vaccinate them for shipping fever, for black leg, for pink eye, for we treated them for lice, but the leptospirosis is something that covers a lot of different respiratory diseases. Oh, hello. Who are you coming in? Somebody's coming in to say hi. They're like, what are you doing in here? I was just waiting on the vet and my dad to get back home. Once my dad got back home, I'm like, hey, listen, will you please take your equipment, because my dad has heavy equipment, and will you clean out all that old hay and just all the area, because we have a concrete slab where we feed the cows on. I was like, will you just get all that crap out of the way so that the ladies have a nice clean slate and we can figure out what the heck's going on. So he cleans that off. I have all the cows in here. The vet comes. We do the autopsy on Reba. We decided against doing it on Marbles because it was already 10:30 when we finished the autopsy on Reba. Now it is called necropsy with animals, but I just use the word autopsy because I know that that makes a lot more sense to a lot of my followers who don't know anything about cattle as much, and I just want it to make sense for you, you know? So it had already been 2 straight hours of digging around playing Operation on a large cow carcass in the blistering cold at 10:30 at night. And I didn't want to make that vet go with us to dig up marbles, do it all again for probably the same results. So I decided not to do that, and the vet didn't want to either. But you know, she was going to, but I also knew she was a mother of 2 young kids, and I just didn't want to put her through that. So we decided to keep marbles buried, and then my dad buried Reba after we finished the autopsy. The only thing that the autopsy showed physically was that her lungs looked a little odd, so that it could have been something respiratory, like maybe onset pneumonia, which can take out animals really quickly when the weather is so sporadic like it has been in Ohio. But no concrete answers still. I'm filming this a week later on the Monday, and I still haven't heard back fully. I do know that they went ahead and sent her rumen and then the stuff in her stomach to OSU, Ohio State University, to run a full tox screen to see if there was any kind of nitrate poisoning or even something outside a third party. If I know that there is foul play, you best believe I will buy cameras immediately. If I find out it was some kind of foul play, this place will turn into a freaking Fort Knox. Like, don't even worry about that. Like I said, I filmed quite a few TikToks just updating and educating because that's what I wanted to do. And after the vet left, and she gave everybody a full, you know, she's like, everyone looks good, there's no sign. She's like, just look for anything, you know, respiratory. Look for heavy breathing or labored breathing, look for discharge, make sure everyone's eyes and ears are clear and perky. And so that's what I did the rest of that week. But it was so terrifying not knowing that there was something that was taking out my girls, but I have no idea what it is. And, you know, I even had a video, a hoochie check the day before that people were going to, realizing Reba was in it and she looks fine. Ears are perky, eyes are clear, nose is clear, she's with the herd. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, like I was literally bewildered, and it was so just immensely terrifying to just constantly wake up every day. Like I seriously would have a fear every time I walked in this barn of like, I'm gonna find like 3 more ladies dead and I'm not gonna know what to do. Luckily that didn't happen. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen. But I just kept checking them every single day, and twice, 3 times a day. Anytime I had a free moment, I'd walk out here. And that was the greatest part about it, is because I didn't have to worry about thinking of creative things. I didn't have to worry about trying to be super funny on the internet, because literally everybody was just so invested on TikTok about my girls that all I had to do was just film while I was doing my checks. So a lot of people were like, do you need a break? Like, do you need to take a couple days? And I was like, I mean, I kind of have. You know, I didn't post on YouTube. I didn't really post on Instagram. The only place that I was really posting was TikTok, and it was literally just while I was out there checking them, I would just do a little quick video, and it wasn't that strenuous. So you guys really did help me out there. It's been a full week. I do feel a little bit better. I've checked temperatures. I have still been checking them. I obviously am still gonna check them twice a day because it's getting close to calving season anyway, and I check 2-3 times a day once calving season begins, just to make sure that everyone's doing okay. If anyone needs to come in the barn, or if anyone needs, you know, assistance birthing, I'm there. But I have no idea. Once I get the autopsy results and if they show anything, I will 100% let you guys know, whether it be, I'll probably do it on all of my social medias. I'll probably make a YouTube video, definitely post a TikTok, probably even make a post on Instagram, just so you guys know. But I'm still bewildered. I still have no idea at the current moment what happened to my ladies, and it was one of the most terrifying experiences. Finding 2 healthy cows dead is terrifying, but then just thinking about like, is one of my other ladies next? I have no idea what's going on. Like, what is it? So I just want to thank you guys again for how amazing and nice and sweet and compassionate that you guys were on those videos. It was just so nice to know that in that moment where I was just losing my mind, that there was so many compassionate, kind people that were backing and supporting me, and I think that honestly really helped. I know it sounds kind of sappy, but it is the freaking truth. So I just want y'all to know how much I really do appreciate you guys. The only thing that I have to add is something that I said in a couple of my TikTok lives, but I want to go ahead and put it here. My mom had a client, and she told me that her son farms in this area. He has goats, and he has had something similar happen. Basically, he has lost 15 goats this winter so far. Now, still a lot of goats. I mean, losing one is enough for me, and I'm sure he probably feels the same way. I don't know his overall number, so 15 might not be that aggressive if he has, you know, 500. I don't know. But he said it was the same thing for him. He would go out in the morning, check his goats, feed them, and everyone looked fine. He'd come back in the evening to do his evening check, and he would have 2 or 3 just dead, just drop dead. And obviously he had his vet come out, do all the checks and everything, and his vet said that it was bacterial pneumonia that was caused rapidly on set because of the weather changes Ohio has had. Because Ohio is always kind of a very up in the air state. We have a lot of weird weather patterns sometimes, but this year it's been really bad as far as like literally one day it'll be like 60, and then the next day it can be freaking in the teens. And he said that sporadic up and down is what's taking out a lot of animals. And I think that that might be the case. I don't know for sure yet, but when the vet called me to tell me that they had sent on to Ohio State with the rumen and everything, they told me, like, if you have another cow sick, we need blood from them because this is something that's affecting other farms and we need to try to figure out what's going on. So I think that that could be the case. And obviously they want to not only figure out what it is, but a way to solve that, because I've had cattle get respiratory infections quite often. It's just something that happens. I get them a lot. Cattle can get them. It's not like every day, but it's usually once a season. And I mean, they give you so many signs. You know, Doobie, she looked sick. As soon as I looked at her, I was like, you don't feel good. And, you know, she didn't just up and die, you know. She probably had felt that way for maybe a day and still wasn't going to, you know, up and keel over. And honestly, she probably could have went a couple days to maybe even a week before she would have keeled over. But it's just so crazy how rapid it was. And it's just, it's scary. It's one of the scariest things. I always tell people that the hardest part about being a cattle woman, owning cattle, is just that kind of uncertainty. It happens a lot in baby calves where you'll just do everything you can and sometimes they will just pass away and you're left defeated. You feel awful and you just ask that why question and you don't have an answer, and it's just absolutely devastating. It completely guts you as a human. It really does. But I wanted to give you guys the full story, the full prognosis, so that you knew what was going on and that you were in the know. If you wanted to have a full play-by-play, you've got it right here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and go ahead and subscribe. I will have a lot more lighthearted videos. This one was just one that I really wanted to get out to you guys because I know that a lot of my videos are like, look at Fluffy Snow, she lets me ride her, tee-hee, look at these cute cows that are pets, because they are. But I also, I feel like I don't want to ever push a false narrative that it's so easy and it's so fun to have cattle, because while there are fantastic moments, I love these animals with my whole heart. There are also terrifying and scary and super sad moments that happen on the farm, and I need to show those just as much, because I don't want my social media to be a highlight reel. I want my social media to be real. That's what I want to do on this platform. That's what I will continue to do on this platform. So even if it might cause me potential backlash, I'm going to show you the realness and I'm going to show you what it is, because that's just what I feel. That's what I feel like I'm here to do. So with that being said, I will keep you up to date. I will let you know once I have any autopsy reports or results, and I will definitely keep updating you on my ladies. So far this morning, everyone looks good, still looks healthy, clear eyes, all that stuff, but I'm still going to be checking them, still going to be checking temps, and hopefully we'll have some happy, healthy babies soon, and we get some answers for my poor Reba and Marbles girl, because that was a rough week. That was a really sad time. So I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being very kind and great humans. See you guys.